Sharpen your pencils, Euphorians, because we're taking you back through the hallways of time to 2004, a time of spelling boobs on calculators, a time of flip phones and CDs, a time when hookups and sexting were done on AOL Instant Messenger, not Humper. So spit out your gum, take off your hat, and get out those textbooks, because class is in session.
Yo, Euphoria!
Hello, Euphorians.
Woo, woo, woo!
What it is.
This is
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year! OMG 2021. It'll probably be just like 2020.
Probably.
A huge fucking shit show. But who cares? We have a podcast and we love Euphoria. And Euphoria has a special episode coming out January 24th. So that is something to look forward to. At least all is right in the world in Euphoria.
Yeah. Hey, 2021's off to a great start. Literally a couple hours ago, a bunch of white supremacists invaded the Capitol.
Great.
What's up?
Wow. I really just...
Great stuff.
I'm
Love
so
it.
proud.
A
I'm
fantastic
so proud to be an
time
American.
to be an American. Am I right, ladies?
No. I fucking hate it here. But we're not even going to talk about that today. No, it's just not the time. The last time we said we were going to record this episode, the country was still a shit show, and I'm over it. Like, we need to just fucking do something to get my mind off how much I hate America. So this is what we're doing.
Let's go.
We said we were going to record an episode essentially laying out Alex and I's high school experiences in comparison to Euphoria, because let's be honest, Euphoria's high school depiction of high school is fucking insane and extremely fantastical, but also like it's kind of lit and it's kind of at least relatable for me.
Yeah, it's like probably based in reality for some people.
Yeah.
Not me,
not
but,
all. Alex.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever. Anyways, we're just gonna like go right in. I feel like before we start though, well, I'm a little tipsy. I was already drinking. I drank like 3 White Claws, which I'll be honest, I don't love White Claws. I think I've said that on this podcast before, but I don't love them. But it's all we have. We're poor as fuck. Like,
it gets the job done. And hey, let's wish a nice goodbye to 7 days of sobriety.
Oh my god, yeah. Alex and I we're gonna do dry January. Fuck that. We obviously not dry tonight. Wet
Things
as
got
fuck.
very buck on New Year's.
Things did get really buck. But we have shots of very high school. This is very on par for high school.
This is
peppermint schnapps.
Peppermint schnapps.
Peppermint schnapps.
Which is appropriate because the first time I got drunk in high school was with vanilla schnapps.
Are you serious?
How many
flavors are there?
Time. It was the first time I got drunk with other people.
What's a schnapp?
It's like a low alcohol.
I'm like holding it. I'm like, what's a schnapp?
It's like not as like high alcohol content as like actual liquor. Like it's like a vodka is like 40% and schnapps is like 20%.
Wow, I love that for us. Well, I'm already drunk, so like I'd rather have 20% than 40. So you know what? Bottoms up.
Yeah,
is that what they say? Or what did you say in high school when you like took a shot?
Fuck, I don't know.
I don't know. Like today, I feel like the kids say like, "Let's get lit."
Nothing.
Okay, taking the shot. Oh my god. Euphorians, pray for me. Oh my god.
Tastes just like mouthwash. Lovely.
I'm like, no, I'm not done with mine.
Oh, sorry.
Alex, I'm a pussy. I only took half of it. Alex just reached across the table and tried to take my shot away.
I thought you took a shot.
No,
Excuse me.
I'm literally crying from this shot. Also, mango, White Claw, and peppermint schnapps. It's honestly not bad. It's kind of like having peppermint and like a mango like tea. Okay, I'm finishing it. Oh my god.
I am drinking.
Jesus,
Modelo
take the wheel
Especial.
as I finish the shot. Bottoms up. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I hate that.
There you go. Cool. Getting off to a good start. All right.
Okay, I'm lying. I don't hate that. I kind of like it.
Peppermint schnapps is delicious.
Oh my god. Do you think anyone today drinks peppermint schnapps?
Sure, everybody drinks peppermint schnapps sometimes. They just taste
You're
like...
You're a fucking liar. No one drinks this.
It just
I've never heard
like
of it until
like
tonight.
Andy's Mints. It literally tastes exactly like drinking like Junior Mints or Andy's Mints. What's not to like? And it gets you done.
Well, as we all know, we asked all of our Euphorians to submit questions to Alex and I about high school. So we will get into that. But first, I felt it appropriate for both of us to give a little, a foundation of
Yeah. You got to set the stage.
Set the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just set the scene. So Alex, you know what? Fuck it. You go first as I drink this White Claw and, mend myself after that horrible schnapps shot.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. So, key to understanding my high school experience is that I did not go to public school prior to high school. 1st through 8th grade, I went to a Montessori private school, which was about 100 kids for 8 grades. So
that's crazy.
A very small school.
I love that for you.
Which it was a great experience for me personally. I can see how that would not be ideal for other people, but I had a great experience. I had amazing teachers. I made my best friends that I'm still best friends to this day with. And it was a really good school. I learned a shit ton. But Montessori school is very different. It's not like Catholic private school. It's not rigid. It's unstructured. It's very hippie. Okay. You're free to you literally are free as a child to kind of spend your day how you want it, as long as you're doing vaguely school related things. Interesting. So it teaches you to kind of be independent and manage your time. But it also gives you a shit ton of time to dick around and have fun.
No, so it was really great. Really.
But it actually, at least in the case of me and my friends, it worked really well, and we all came out of it pretty smart, capable people who were relatively
I'd say you're pretty smart.
Well, thank you. So basically, that was a great experience, but very abnormal. Okay. So I got shuffled from 8 years of this very liberal, free, open, amazing teachers, my best friends experience, and then I went to a public high school, and I went to public high school in Camas, Washington, and Camas, Washington is very small. And it's about half rural and half middle class to upper middle class white suburban.
Also, please tell us what your mascot was. It kills me.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that this whole episode. Yeah, the Camas High School mascot is the paper maker.
What the fuck is a paper maker?
So Camas is a mill town. There's a paper mill in Camas that smells like shit, and if you live in the wrong place, you smell it all the time. And I was lucky and lived in the bougie neighborhood, so I did not have to smell the paper mill. But the mascot was essentially a big robot with giant rolls of paper on his back.
Did you have a kid?
A paper mill machine.
Did you have a mascot, a kid that wore a costume, or were they just?
Oh no, there was a full costume. It's basically a black and red robot with giant rolls of paper on his back.
Wow.
It regularly appears on the list of the top 10 most insane mascots in the country.
Good job. Go paper makers.
Yeah, so I went to Camas High School, and like I said, Camas is basically 100% white people, and it's half poor white people that live on farmland or in the forest, and middle to middle upper class white people that live in very classic suburban neighborhoods.
Yeah, a gated community type style, or there's
or just planned communities. It's not all fancy. It's not fancy or upscale by any means, but there are a couple bougie neighborhoods, but largely it's just your regular old run-of-the-mill suburbs.
Totally.
So
this sounds awesome so far.
This is also in
really
Camas, Washington, which is right outside Portland, Oregon. So it rains all year, and it rains all school year pretty much, because school goes from September to June.
Yeah, it's Pacific Northwest.
In the Pacific Northwest, it rains every day from October till May pretty much. So most of the school year is shitty and cold and raining.
Great.
Yeah, so then I went to high school, and it was, you can probably tell, but it was a lot of culture shock.
Culture shock, how? You mean, like, just social skills, like, things were off? Like,
culture shock, and that I had never been exposed in close proximity to the types of people I was going to school with. Like, all of a sudden, I was at this school with, like, tons of, like, types that I had never experienced.
Stereotypes.
Douchey, like, Abercrombie and Fitch, like, Hollister-type guys, like, gross, like, trashy girls, like, jocks, like... There was, like, weirdly, like, a small contingent of, like, really legit, like, punk kids, like, stoner kids, like, all of this I had never experienced.
Were there any, like, drug deadbeats? Like, not to be rude, but, like, small town usually has, like, kids that do, like, meth and shit.
Yes. Camas...
Was it that level, though, or was it, like...
Oh, yeah. Camas has some drug problems, mostly with opiates, with, like, the rich...
Interesting.
Or, like, middle-class people. Like... But it was never, like, it's weird because it was never scary. So, like, I was, like, the most shy, like, sheltered, like, little boy. And there was a kid on my bus that was selling, like, opiates, like Vicodin. He was selling, like, Vicodin and Oxy, like, in huge amounts. And he was always high on that shit. But he was just, like, this nice little, like, scrawny little, like, nice white kid who lived in my neighborhood, which was, like, one of the nicest neighborhoods. So it was never, like, intimidating or scary. It was just, like... weird. It was like, oh, I guess like the kid on my bus is just like he just does Vicodin all the time. Dealer. Like that's just his thing. But he wasn't like a drug dealer. He was just this scrawny little like nerdy white kid who was like so quiet and almost talked to like no one and was just always high on Vicodin and sold Vicodin, and it was just like a known thing. Like
wow.
And then
also that you took the bus. Like let's just all remember that Alex had to take the bus. Like I always like for me.
Ooh man.
If my parents had ever even uttered the word bus, I would have looked at them like I don't even know. I would have literally like refused to be a part of my family. I would have been like, fuck you all, never shall I ever ride the bus.
Yeah, so I rode the bus for 3 years, and then my fourth year, my dad would let me drive his car. But to give like an example, well, not an example, but like my experience riding the bus was this. My very first day of high school, I remember vividly because I had to wake up at like 5:30 in the morning because school started at like 7.
Ooh. That's horrendous.
And when you take the bus,
what good things ever start at 7 a.m.? Like
no,
quite literally
awful, nothing. And when you take the bus, you have to catch the bus at like 6:30. So and the bus stop was in my neighborhood was like a 15-minute walk from where I lived.
Woof.
So I had to wake up fucking early, walk through my neighborhood and wait for the bus, having never done any of this before. And it was like awful. And then it's Camas, Washington. So most of the year when you ride the bus, there's of course it's a bus, so there's windows that are stuck down. So riding the bus most of the year is this. It's pitch black. It's about 40 to 30 degrees. It's cold as fuck because the windows are stuck down and there's no heat. So it's fucking freezing. And it's pitch black out. So I would wait. Like, my parents were great and would drive me to the bus stop a lot of the time. So I got to wait in a warm car. But then I get on the bus and I would wear, like, a full, like, snowsuit, basically. Put my, like, headphones in, listen to my iPod, and listen to, like, depressing music and sit and like try to avoid
Fix You by Coldplay.
No, I was like heavy into like classic rock and stuff, but
my God.
I basically just like sat on the bus miserably for like 40 minutes and tried to like stay warm because I was like the first stop.
Ugh.
So that was horrible.
That all sounds horrendous. Thank you for that amazing.
You'd be like pulling into school and the sun would be rising. Like it was fucking terrible.
God, your experience is so not euphoric.
No, it was incredibly not euphoric. So, then I get to school. There's all these like weird types of people, and I don't really like any of them. Like generally these were not good types of people. Like there's being exposed to new types of people, and then there's being exposed to new types of people they all just universally suck, and that was pretty much my experience. Was that like it wasn't like I got like to this big environment where I was like, oh wow, like there's like the cool group of like art kids or like these like
drama kids,
cool stoners or skaters or any of that. It was mostly like just like Abercrombie and Fitch, like Hollister clones. Like there would be like 30 guys that all had the exact same like jeans, sweatshirt, like shirt, t-shirts, and they would wear them all the time, and they all looked the same and they all acted the same, and I hated all of them. Like, and the girls were pretty much the same. Like,
yeah.
So that was like largely...
I've seen girls in Washington.
Yeah.
Sorry if any of our listeners are from Washington, but like, woof to the max.
Yeah. So that was like largely that. It was like culture shock. There were some cool people. Like I said, like there was like this weird like little contingent of like 10 like kids that were like weirdly super punk and like had like glued up like 1 foot tall like mohawks and wore like vintage Cramps shirts and shit, and they were pretty cool. And like I had one friend who had left my private school a year early, and he had become friends with a bunch of metalheads, and they were pretty cool too. But generally everyone fucking sucked. The teachers were terrible. I had the classic, like there were like 3 or 4 like really memorable like great teachers that I had, like maybe 1 to 2 per year that were amazing, but generally they were fucking awful.
I feel like that's, maybe I'm wrong, but most public high schools, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, that's not abnormal.
Praise be. Sure. Like, there are teachers out there that are fucking amazing. Like, I have so many friends that are teachers at public schools, and they are just amazing. But, for the most part, sadly, and they would also agree, like, teachers fucking suck in the public school
shout out
system.
to the great teachers I did have, because they did exist. But generally, it was awful. Camus is weirdly really good at sports for being small. So, there's, like, this whole culture of, like... They would win the football championship.
Football or all sports?
They would win the football championship, and they would win soccer, like, for the state. So they were, like, for a small town, sports were, like, a big deal. And I fucking couldn't give less of a shit about football. My parents forced me to go to football games, and I had no one to talk to. So I would stand with my parents, and then they'd be like, go find some of your friends. And I'd be like, I don't have any friends. So then I'd have to go wander around alone awkwardly and find some people I, like, vaguely knew to, like, hang out with. God. And that was terrible and traumatizing.
I'm so sorry. Like, honestly, that makes my heart...
I joined the soccer team freshman year, but I was on the C team.
Though.
And then I didn't make JV sophomore year, so I didn't play soccer anymore.
Picturing my baby Alex at a football game with no one to hang out with literally makes me want to cry. And it also horrible. Makes me want to drink more.
It was horrible because I didn't... Yeah, I'm going to get way drunk this episode because high school was a rough time.
I already need another White Claw.
So let's see, what else do we got? Oh, my school was super fucking fascist, like just insane rules. Like this was 2004 was when I was a freshman. Cell phones at that time like barely had texting. I got my first cell phone that year literally only so that I could call my parents when I was done with soccer practice. It didn't have texting and it didn't have a camera. So no
dick pics were taken like on Euphoria.
No. And I couldn't hang out with anybody because kids didn't want, all the other kids had texting and they didn't want to call. No one wants to call you and they don't want to answer your call.
I don't want to call
So I never got to hang out with anybody until I got a better phone like junior or senior year. So I didn't get to text people. I asked my parents if I could get texting and they said no. I didn't have a camera.
Classic your parents.
But the school didn't let you have your phone out in like before school. So the bus would drop me off like 20 minutes before school started, but you couldn't have your phone out.
Wait, you couldn't have your phone out like in the hall?
No phones ever. You're anywhere ever.
Kidding me.
Couldn't have. So I would get to school 20 minutes early and I wasn't able to like pull out my phone. Not that I could have done anything on it other than like play Snake, but I also couldn't you couldn't use your iPod, so I would have my iPod on the bus, and then when I walked into school, I had to take it out because they would have people that would come around and walk around and look for people and tell them.
What do you mean people? Like hall monitors? Did you have hall monitors?
We had like 2 like insane security guards, 2 like bitchy lesbos that would walk around and like tell people like they were literal Nazis.
Okay, my jaw's on the table.
It was awful.
You weren't allowed to have your cell phone out before school?
No hats. I couldn't wear a hat to school, and I was a big hat guy. So
a big hat guy.
If you were caught inside the school with a hat on, instant detention.
That is so
And if you got caught with a hat on in the school, like I think it was 3 times, you had to go to the principal's office. And this is literally like in the hall between classes. Like I would get to class, have my hat, put it on to walk through the hall to my next class, and if somebody saw you, it was detention.
In my school, if you had a hat, you only got a detention if you had a hat on during the Pledge of Allegiance. How dumb is that? So you could wear it all day, but you could not. How dare you stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance and have your hat on?
That's insane. Let's see what else. So I didn't have a locker freshman year. Well, I did, but it was so far away that I couldn't make it to my locker and to my next class before the bell rang, so I couldn't use it. So I had to carry like 30 pounds of books in my backpack at all times my entire freshman year. So my
that's probably good for you though. You're a little lanky.
Always hurt.
You're a little lanky though. That's probably good for your muscles.
Yeah, I really built up my traps.
Yeah, I feel like that's good for you.
And our campus was closed. You couldn't leave campus. And one time,
you're like, my heart is like, I have like palpitations because this is making me anxious. Like this is so horrible and horrendous. I hate this for you. I hate everything about your high school.
It was awful. One time a car of kids were leaving the campus, sneaking off campus to go to lunch. And one of the crazy like lesbian security guards leapt in front of their car while it was moving and got run over and broke her leg like entirely. Like she was in a full leg cast for like months because she just fucking put her body on the line to stop these kids from going to get like fucking McDonald's for lunch.
Can you even imagine being that like psychotic?
That's like one of my favorite things. I just love that she was ready.
Put her body on the line. She was
ready as like a 50-year-old woman to leap in front of a moving like SUV and like get run over to prevent like
this is like Law and Order
off-campus
SVU.
lunch. Like,
oh my god, you have to think what was running through her head. I mean, Camas High really sounds like the best school you could possibly ever attend.
Yeah, I mean, basically,
sign me up.
I just shared no interests or values with anyone I went to school with, so I was constantly like around, like on the fringe of things with like very weird people that I was like with, mostly because they were also on the fringe, not because I actually like wanted to associate. I did make some really cool friends. I had some good friends that were mostly like in the group of like either like stoner, like kind of like trashy stoner, like sketchy kids, or like white kids that wanted to be rappers. Because I got really into streetwear like halfway through my high school experience and super into streetwear and hip hop. So I like gravitated towards like the white kids that wanted to be rappers. I was not dressing like that or trying to be about that.
I mean, you kind of were. I saw a pic of you on your Facebook where you were wearing 3 collars.
2.
No, there were 3.
No, it was 1 actually. I never wore more than 1 collar, but I did have a popped
selfie
collar
on your bed, clearly with like a
it's
fucking
just
camera.
1. It's 1 collar,
It's 3!
but it is a mortifyingly embarrassing picture. But it is a single popped collar.
We'll post to the Insta, Euphorians.
It's very bad.
We'll post to the Insta.
But I didn't wear like baggy jeans and Air Force Ones, but I was into like sneakers and streetwear and stuff. I was more into like Asian streetwear than like white kids trying to be like black rappers. But I had some really sketchy stoner friends that were like, they weren't sketchy. They were really nice, like great people, but I never got to hang out with them outside of school and do like drugs with them because I would have been caught by my strict parents and they didn't have strict parents. So like I was only like so close to them because I could never like participate.
Wow. So high school sucked for Alex. That is the summary of that.
So there you go.
That's a lot. I like honestly feel I hate that.
I will say no more.
You can say all you want. I mean, honestly, that just sounds horrendous.
Can you tell that I resent my high school experience a little bit?
I would never know that you didn't like high school, Alex. I would literally never know. Now I'm like nervous because you just went and like, I don't know. It's so embarrassing because I feel like an idiot because my experience was so fucking euphoric. I loved high school.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I will preface this with, I feel like bitches that say they love high school, you like roll your eyes immediately like, I don't know, like do you get that vibe? Like I feel like whenever someone says they like high school, I immediately judge them, right?
I mean, my experience was so awful, I just immediately assume anyone that loved high school is like trash.
But even I judge people and my experience was great, if that makes sense, because I always think in my head, why would you like high school when like college makes sense? Because like college, you're 21, you can drink, you can like actually do shit. For me though, I would quite literally any day go back to high school before I'd go back to college.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
That is the truth. So let me set the stage. Paige is from Tempe, Arizona. Paige had a really fucking weird upbringing, if you will. My parents raised me to be Mormon, a Latter-day Saint, if you want to be proper. Fuck that. I hated it.
A Latter-day Saint.
I hated it. I absolutely
You're such a Latter-day Saint, baby.
Okay, I will say this, though. I will be vulnerable and say I liked it for the sense of community. I hated the religion and did not, like, agree with any of it, but felt very pressured to be a part of it because my parents raised me that way. My parents also, this is important. My parents were not Mormon growing up. They converted when they were young, which I think is important. I could talk about Mormonism for hours. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
But Mormonism is quite literally like being a part of a cult, and that's how I grew up.
It's
so
recognized as a cult in many countries.
Yeah, it was really tough for me. So my upbringing was interesting to say the least. So Tempe, Arizona, right? Like you hear about it and immediately you think like Spring Breakers. It's known to be one of the most like party. It's like what you imagine.
Because of ASU.
Yeah, because of ASU.
One of the biggest party schools in the country.
Yeah. So Tempe is associated immediately with ASU. Like, go Sparkies.
Sparkies. How about go Papermakers?
Oh my God, fuck Papermakers. So my mascot, I won't get too ahead of myself, but our mascot was the Aztec.
Oh, wait. Tell them what your school was called.
Corona del Sol was
Corona.
my high school.
Woo, woo, woo. Incredibly on brand.
Coronavirus
This year, yeah.
So my school was essentially COVID-19, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been, honestly. It was germy as fuck, and there were so many kids that went to that school. But anyways, so known for being a party city, but yet I was not like taking part in the party scene, but I was existing in it. So as far as like comparing my high school experience to Euphoria, I would say it's pretty fucking spot on, other than I would say I wasn't like I said, I wasn't like participating.
You were going to parties but not drinking or doing drugs.
100% yes. And that was only because I was terrified of my parents, and I was raised Mormon, and you weren't fucking allowed to do any of that shit. And to me also, I kind of like, I just always thought to myself, like, I'm already like so ditzy and dumb, like I don't need to like make that worse. I don't need to like elevate like Paige Blazer. Like I'm already elevated on like the highest level you could be on.
Yeah.
I don't need to drink or like smoke. Now I would highly be like, I'm highly against that. Like absolutely, Paige needs to be drinking. She needs to be smoking to thrive. At the time, no. So Tempe, Arizona now, thank God it's a blue state. But growing up, it was majority Republican. But
I mean,
oddly,
it still pretty much is. Like,
yeah,
it's a blue state as of like this year.
Yes, but I will say it's weird in that, yes, it's majority Republican, but I would say it's Republican in that people are liberal without knowing I don't know how to say this. They're like Republican without knowing they're actually liberal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Meaning they're unintelligent.
Yes.
Let's cap that with I'm like unintelligence. Like people have very liberal beliefs. They live their life morally very liberal, very free-minded, very open-spirited, yet they're fucking Republican and it makes no sense.
Yep.
So I
a
grew
very
up
confusing type of person.
very confusing. So my, I guess, I don't know what you call it, adulthood was very, very confusing all the time because I thought all growing up I had liberal friends, which I did. My very, very close friends, thank God, were very liberal. Praise be, they taught me so much. I would not be here, like drinking. I would not be here today if it weren't for them, but really, like, actually. But that was extremely strange. So not only was I Mormon, I was around a bunch of people who thought they were Republican but were actually liberal. And then on top of that, my school was fucking ginormous. So unlike you, I did not go to like a small town school.
Yeah.
My
school was 1,200 people.
Mine?
Mine.
Oh.
So my class
total.
was about 300 people.
My school, we had almost 3,500 students. So my graduating class, I think at the time was 900 to 1,000 students.
Yeah.
That's a fucking shit ton.
Yep.
And just to give perspective, my high school was larger than my college. The college that Alex and I attended, which is Pepperdine, my school was larger. I loved it. I fucking thrived in a large school. I don't know what it is, but I preferred it over small. Which,
well, your school had a lot of diversity too, right?
Yes and no. Yes and no, meaning like there was literally one black kid I knew, maybe like a handful of black kids I knew. Yes. Corona's not known for being like, I wouldn't say it's diverse. I would say diverse in opinions, thoughts, character.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like personality, but not actual like diversity.
Oh, okay.
It was actually kind of a joke. Like we didn't have many black students because.
What about Latino?
Well, because I told you so. I've told Alex this before, but he's drunk. So we had our rival school was Marcos de Niza.
Oh, I know that.
Extremely diverse. So my school was like the white prim and proper, like, oh, you don't send your student to Marcos de Niza or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
So I went to the white school, Corona. Anyways, I thrived in this school. I loved it. I loved being in a large, I always forget the saying, and now I'm drunk. What is it? The
fish? You were a small fish in a big pond or
you
ocean.
Don't even know it.
Well, usually you say you're a big fish in a little pond.
Totally.
So I guess the opposite is a small fish in a big pond or the ocean.
Yeah.
Or a lake. I don't know.
You know, I was swimming through the ocean of Corona del Sol.
You were a lake, baby.
I was really just thriving. No, so to set the tone, I guess. So I guess if I were to describe myself best in high school, I feel like I was a robot. Like, I did what my parents raised me to do.
And what did your parents raise you to do?
To, like, literally not live life. To be a Mormon. It fucking sucked. Mm-hmm. But actually, no,
Perfect.
that's not giving
that encapsulates
That's not giving myself enough credit. I mean that on an extreme level. I was certainly rebelling all the time, just in different ways than people would think. I feel like when you hear the word, like, rebelling in high school, you think immediately drugs and alcohol. I was rebelling in the sense of my sexuality. I literally at 13 gave my first blowjob. Like, I dove right the fuck in. I was hooking up with guys all the time. I always had a boyfriend. I was showering with guys. I was doing so many things I would never want my child to be doing at my age.
Page blazing.
So that was, like, my outlet for, like, rebelling. And I don't know why I chose that. Like, I could have chosen any, right? Because, like, it's not like Mormons teach you that you can just fuck whoever, do whatever. Like, that was not a thing. Yeah. But for some reason, that's what I chose.
Well, probably because it's least detectable.
Exactly.
Easiest to hide. A third party.
Yes. You're so right. It was the easiest to cover up. Yeah. And I was a professional liar. Like, a professional.
Yep.
So, another thing about high school, which I feel like, sadly, it just doesn't exist today, is I was, like, overly confident. And not in a bad way. I mean, like, in a way that was very healthy. I really, like, believed in myself. I liked who I was, mostly for my personality. I didn't even really know that I was, like, a cute girl in high school. Like, Alex looks at my pictures, and he's always so sweet, and he's like, you were so cute. I'm like,
you were very cute in high school.
I sadly thought I was, like, a fat, disgusting oaf, because my mom was an absolute psychopath.
Yeah, it's not your fault.
No, I had, like, the classic narcissistic mother who was just, like, horrible to me, very abusive. So I always saw myself as lesser than, but, like, deep down, I always knew my personality was banging.
Yeah.
And it's because I was, I was kind. I cared about people. I never gave a shit about popularity.
You were fun.
I was fun. I was the life of the party. I was the class clown.
Yeah.
But really, I was. Like, I had a lot of fucking fun, and I have no problem saying that because that's what it was. Yep. The only thing I, like, now as an adult hate about myself is I was so hyper. I feel like you don't use the word hyper anymore because that's so, like, not cool. Like, meaning...
You were, though.
No, but I'm saying, like, it was cool, like, back in our time to be... if you will, different, but different meaning, like, I was a spaz. Like, people liked that I was really spastic, I was loud, I was obnoxious, I, like, played pranks, I was, like, fearless. Where now I feel like people are liked for being, like, fucking basic as shit, wearing crop tops and, like, doing, like, the little TikTok dances. Like, that was not how I grew up. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, that now today is cool. Where I went to school, thank God, that was not fucking cool. That was lame. People liked people that were different and were outspoken, I guess. Yep. So I was very outspoken.
All right.
And hyper as shit. So I was a borderline psychopath. I would never say I was popular, but I was a cheerleader, which I think is so funny because it's like I was very like Maddie and Cassie. Like, I had to wear my cheer uniform every first day of school. So every year, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year, the first day of school, I had to wear my fucking cheer uniform. It's so embarrassing.
That's pretty embarrassing.
It's humiliating because you're judged immediately. You have no self-expression. You are a cheerleader and you're a bitch. That's what it appeared to be. Now, I did not choose to be a cheerleader. My mom, day one, the minute she knew I was going to high school, it was like...
I wouldn't have judged you. I was friends with, like, a cheerleader or two that I didn't immediately judge as shitty.
But in the media, it was, even then, like, right, we didn't have social media, but we did have, like, TV shows and things, and cheerleaders were absolutely never looked at as, like, cool.
Look. Yeah, it's usually a bad look.
It's A, you're, like, dumb as shit.
Yeah, and
and
probably
B, you're
a
huge fucking cunt, and that wasn't me. So that kind of sucked. Yep. And I literally had people make fun of me. I was never bullied. I will make that very clear because I will never take like the victim route. I was not bullied, but I absolutely was labeled. I could literally hear people snickering and being like, like fucking cheerleader behind my back all the time.
Yep.
So that sucked.
Yep.
And that sucked because I was going to say my mom made me do cheer. So I did not choose to do cheer. It was my mom literally day one signed me up, said you're doing a sport and it has to be cheer. And I was a little bitch, you know, at 13 years old. How much say do you have in your life? I had none. So I had to be a cheerleader. Luckily, it ended up being fucking fantastic. It was my favorite part of school. All the girls on my cheer team were similar to me, kind of like there, but didn't know why they were there. And all of them now are thriving and just really cool people. So I was very, very lucky in that aspect. I didn't really... There were definitely basic bitches on the team, but like the people I grew closest to were absolutely like... insanely cool.
Sweet.
You know, like went to Ivy League schools or did this or that, had a future.
So there you go.
I guess to cap all that off, I would say Corona del Sol was a school where you could literally be anything you wanted to be. You definitely were judged for it, but not in a way that was like detrimental to your experience. And
big enough. Would you say it was big enough that there were many different cliques that had the space to thrive? Is that an accurate depiction?
I was literally just gonna say last night I described to Alex as we were prepping for this episode that at Corona del Sol I picture being like a giant family tree with like so many branches, and everyone like had a home. It was like you were a drama kid, you were a drama kid that got stoned, you were a drama kid that got drunk, you were a jock, you were a cheerleader, you were this, and you thrived in whatever group you were in. But also the groups all intercrossed and all got along. And yeah, I guess
sounds nice.
Me and Alex are yin and yang. I absolutely loved high school, and I feel like I stand by that today. I love it, and I think
perfect.
Sadly though, I think my school's changed. Like I've heard Corona del Sol kind of sucks now, but when I was growing up, it was fucking fantastic.
All right, cool. Okay, so now that we got our high school context established, lightning round. Key differences between high school now and high school for us. Go.
Okay. High school now, social media.
We had no social media. Facebook was introduced my senior year.
Same.
You had MySpace, which was like a weird kind of like quasi-social media of its own breed that I feel like was really sketchy, but I never had it.
Yeah, but it was also tailored for college kids, not for high school. So it was very like sneaky, and if you had it, it was like a privilege.
Yeah. Okay. So no social media. I didn't have Wi-Fi in my home. I don't think until
I
don't think I had Wi-Fi in my house till my senior year of high school.
Holy shit.
Phones couldn't take pictures, and I didn't get a phone that could take a picture until my junior or senior year of college or high school. I mean.
Absolutely not. I got my first phone in 8th grade, and then by freshman year I had a Razor that could take photos.
Oh, everyone had the Razor. I never had a Razor.
I had a Razor for 3 years, and then this is actually a very fun, quick story. I was one of the first people at my high school to get the iPhone. Like, the iPhone. The OG.
There is not a single person at Camas High School that had the iPhone in 2008.
Shut the fuck
Swear to God. I hadn't seen an iPhone in person until college. You came from, like, a rich
community, though.
Hadn't seen an iPhone in person until I went to college.
Oh, my God. So, I had one. My dad bought me one.
No pictures on phones until at least, like, my junior or senior year.
So, we're opposite.
No
I had pictures all through high school.
Until junior or senior year.
I had AIM, so AOL Instant Messenger, which was... I had it all through high school, all the way through senior year. Yeah. You would log on every day. Didn't have AIM. It would take like 10 minutes for it to like load up. You'd get on. It was like having Instagram, but not, because there's no photos, but you would like set away messages. So if I would like set an away message if I was going to take a shit. Like,
yeah. Were you sexting on there?
All the time.
Were nudes sent on AIM?
No photos.
Because I remember my senior year, nudes started to get sent on camera phones, and they were like grainy as hell. It would be like a super grainy, like horribly lit photo of like somebody you vaguely knew's like tits. Like,
I believe I'm correct in this, and you know, fuck it if I'm not. But I was never sent a photo on AIM. I don't think you could send photos at that time. It was just text. So I would. I started dating one of my boyfriends because we like talked on AIM.
Yep.
And also my AIM icon was Pippin from Lord of the Rings. So
hot.
Fucking kill me.
Wow, I would have been all over you.
Oh my God, I was nerdy as fuck.
iPods were life. I used to burn CDs for girls. This was in the...
You burned for girls?
Of course.
That's so hot.
Because I was all about music, so that was a great way for me to
I didn't even do that for my boyfriends, and I was super cheesy.
Oh, I burned tons of CDs for girls.
I burned CDs for my friends.
That was a good
and
intro.
for road trips.
Yeah.
Burning CDs
was big. Buying songs off iTunes.
LimeWire.
Yeah,
huge.
I couldn't get LimeWire or Kazaa because my parents wouldn't let me.
I bet most people don't even know what the fuck that is. It's like illegal downloading music.
If you know what the Pirate Bay is, LimeWire and Kazaa were just the Pirate Bay of like that time.
Got it. Yeah, but no sexting was going on at all. I don't think I ever even like talked about anything like. And I was, like I said, highly sexualized in high school. I never, like, talked about dicks or anything, like, via text. It was always in person.
Yep.
Thank God, honestly. Thank God. Imagining high school Paige talking about, like, dicks over text is, like, insulting. It's a lot.
Yeah. Cool. What else? Anything else?
I'm trying to think.
Those are some pretty massive differences.
Oh, another difference is, like, I didn't have as much anxiety. Like... Meaning in high school today, if I was going to high school today, I feel like I'd always be on the brink of wondering, like, who's a shooter, like, who's going to fucking blow up the school, like...
Oh, we used to have active shooter drills all the time.
But, like, drills, but not like, oh, there's a shooter, right?
No, there was never an actual shooter threat, but I saw it as a real possibility. Campus seemed like the kind of place where I wouldn't have been surprised at all if there was a shooter.
Oh, not us.
I always knew exactly what I was going to do if a shooter came in the room.
Stuff happened, but, like, it just wasn't something I ever thought about. Like, I was very ignorant. Yeah. I didn't even think about it. Where now, like, I think about it all the time. Like, at work, at SeatGeek, I'm always like, oh my God, like, what if someone got really pissed when they get fired or something? Like, I don't know. But, like, I never thought about that in high school.
All right.
Anything else?
No, I think that's a good wrap.
Parties? Anything different about parties? Like,
I didn't go to parties, so I wouldn't know.
Well, we'll talk about that later. But like, you know what I mean? Like things that people did that were like cool, or I don't know. I feel like nowadays it's just hard because like with social media and everything, it really just changes absolutely everything. And we were so blessed to not have Instagram.
Yeah.
We were beyond blessed. I'm so fucking thankful I didn't have Instagram.
Yeah. Same.
Oof,
I probably wouldn't have used it if I had it, but
whatever. You so would have.
Oh, I don't know.
To get girls?
No, I wasn't chasing girls in high school. I didn't like. I always had my like crushes here and there, but I was not like a girl.
You were
chaser.
making those CDs,
I was
so you were doing something.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now we need to dive in because we have so many of your questions that we want to answer.
Questions.
So our Euphorians submitted some questions about our high school experiences, and we're just gonna fucking dive right in. There's actually we picked 17 of our favorites, so we're gonna go one by one, and we're just gonna fucking shoot the shit. So First question.
Paige.
Did either of us have any same-sex crushes in high school?
I did not. I was very straight in high school. I was hypothetically a little more open to men in college, but in high school there was no one that I would have ever been interested in anyways, and I wasn't even like thinking about that yet.
You weren't trying to bang a paper maker?
I had one good friend who was like pretty hot. Shout out Nick Montana, but I was not into him at the time, and yeah, there you go.
I was straight as an arrow. I mean, honestly, in college, I was kind of like you. I was a little more open-minded. But when I say open-minded, even then, like, it was more fun, like, getting drunk and, like, you know, making out with my friend or something. But, like, not in high school. Absolutely not. In high school, I was literally, like, you know, because I was raised Mormon. Like,
right.
I didn't give a shit if other people were doing it, but I was always like, not for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then once I was in college, I was like, yeah, fuck it. It's a free-for-all. Like, I'll fucking make out with a horse at this point. Like, I don't care.
Wow. Bestiality, huh? That's very open-minded.
Let's not spread that rumor.
Okay,
all right,
cool.
Number 2.
What character would you have been best friends with?
For me, this one's kind of funny. I feel like I could easily be friends with obviously anyone on the Euphoria cast, but Maddie Perez would absolutely be my homie. And I say that because A, she's a cheerleader, so we probably would have been on cheer together. Duh. Also, like, she's a Scorpio. Shout out. Mm-hmm. And 3, I know she's, like, you know, I don't believe... I'm not, like, aligned with her morals, and I was definitely nothing like her in high school, but I liked being around really powerful, fearless women, and she's definitely she's right up that alley. Mm-hmm. So...
I can see that.
Like, I would absolutely want to hang out with a girl who called her boyfriend's mom a cunt at the carnival.
For sure.
So,
I can see
that's
it.
me.
Cool. For me, it would be like a Rue Fezco situation. If Fezco were going to my high school, those were very much the type of people I hang out with. Like very kind of like burnout-y, like stoner fringe kids, like
chill. They're kind of on the outskirts,
which is all weird because I wasn't doing drugs, but those were very much the type of people I gravitated to because I hated everyone and was like outside of everything, and so were they. The only other one is like Ethan. Like Ethan is like someone I could see myself being friends with. Big time.
I could see that.
I feel like I would have shared similar interests with Ethan.
I feel like Ethan would be like a movie buff.
Yeah, right. Like I could have talked to Ethan about like movies and music. Like
totally.
He's totally the type of guy I would have like been friends with on that basis.
I love that. Okay, next question. Song you used to play over and over in high school.
Oh man. I immediately think of my alarm clock songs because I had a CD alarm clock and it would just only play like whatever the first track was.
What do you mean a CD alarm clock?
Like I had a clock that had a CD player in it and you could set it so that it would wake you up by starting the CD. So it would only play whatever the first song on the CD was. So I immediately think of all the songs that were like first on these CDs that I used to wake up to, and they were all like intensely like dark or like depressing songs because I hated high school, obviously.
Wow.
So it was like Hell's Bells by like AC/DC, or like I was heavy into like classic rock, so I was listening to like Born Under Punches by Talking Heads, which is like generally seen as a dancey track, but if you like really like feel it, that's a pretty dark song. Heaven and Hell by The Who, the entire Quadrophenia album by The Who, like very like anti-establishment, like angry, like dark, sad music. Like
Jesus. If you ever feel fucking old, just remember you're not, because Alex played CDs as his alarm clock.
Yeah. Yep. Classic rock CDs too, to like further age myself.
Hell's
like
Bells.
Led Zeppelin, like Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin was a good wake up song. I was heavy into the White Stripes. I used to listen to Black Math on like blast, like as loud as I had like a very nice sound system, and I would turn that up as loud as it could go.
Mine was definitely Glamorous by Fergie. I played that the most. It was like a joke in high school that was like my theme song. Like anytime I was on like the announcements or like, I don't know, just some stupid shit. Like if I was announced for like a cheer award, which was like a laughing stock, I always had Glamorous by Fergie. I was Paige Blazer with a $, the Flossy Flossy.
Love it.
Other than that, I was definitely a top 40s hoe in high school. Like I liked all, but mostly hip hop and pop. Like I literally will never forget my best friend's dad asking me in the kitchen what your favorite artist is, and my answer was the Black Eyed Peas. That is so embarrassing. I want to slam my face into our brick wall thinking that I answered that, but also I'm like, whatever. I was like fucking like 16.
I'm embarrassed on your behalf.
Akon, Timberland, Miley Cyrus was like my like idol. Like Miley Cyrus was top for me. But yeah, like, and you know, when I was feeling depressed, it was Coldplay. When I broke up with a boyfriend, it was Ally and AJ, potential breakup song.
Oh, speaking of Euphoria though, my homie, who was like one of the white kids that wanted to be a rapper, he burned me the Like Father Like Son Lil Wayne and Birdman album, which features Stunt Like My Daddy from Euphoria.
So
junior year of high school, I got the burned CD from my homie.
I love that.
Which I wasn't supposed to have because my parents told me I couldn't listen to explicit music.
They did not. Did they sit you down and tell you that?
They would only let me buy the clean versions of songs on iTunes. So if I got music from a friend, I had to like keep it on the DL so they wouldn't.
Holy shit.
Because I shared the family computer.
Don't you love that I was raised Mormon and I could listen to whatever the fuck I wanted? Like I blared songs that were about like sucking dick, and you were like a normal kid with liberal parents. I had to buy the clean version on iTunes when I was like 16. I was listening to like Lollipop by Lil Wayne. That was my ringtone.
All right,
okay, anyways, craziest scandal or drama that happened at your school. And let me just say, this was the most asked question by our Euphorians.
Yeah, this and the gossip one. So for me, like the craziest scandal, I feel like there weren't like that many like crazy scandals. Like people were getting pregnant like left and right. There were like very, very sadly, there were like ODs and suicides like once or twice a year.
Oh, that's horrible.
But those were never really like scandals. That was like sadly the norm. I think the big scandals were Both involved my sophomore year biology teacher, and one was that one kid, when she left the room, he put soap in her coffee, and
fucking
then,
rude. Was she a bad teacher though?
She was terrible, and then she reported it, and he got arrested for attempted poisoning.
He was arrested?
The cops came to school and pulled him out of class and arrested him because they called it attempted poisoning. And it was just like hand soap. It wasn't like industrial soap. He just squirted hand soap in her coffee.
Today that would be like, I feel like today that'd be encouraged with COVID-19. Like,
I know, right? And then the other one that involved her was that we were doing dissections, and you like escalate in dissections. You like start with a worm and then a starfish and then a frog or whatever. So we got to level 2, which was the starfish, and someone cut off the arm of the starfish and put it in their pocket and then put it in the salad bar of the cafeteria later that day. So dissections were canceled for the year, which was fantastic for me because I love animals and I never wanted to dissect anything. So I never had to do anything worse than a starfish.
But also that is
I didn't have to get up to
stupid.
Like frog or pig or any of that.
Oh my god, that is so stupid. Oh,
so
I had to do it all.
Those are mine.
Oh my god, wait, you just reminded me of a story that I have to tell, which is that we did have to do dissections, and in biology, I told you, like, someone stole a dead cat out of...
Oh, yeah. You told me about that.
Out of my biology teacher's classroom. I actually know who it was, too.
What did they do with it? They just
I will not out them on this podcast. I don't
it?
fucking know. I wasn't friends with them. Who the fuck steals a dead cat? Like, get a fucking life.
But did it show up somewhere, or did they just steal it and it was never heard from again?
No, they took it, and I'm sure they like did something funny with it. I don't know. All right. It was a big deal though. So yeah, we weren't allowed to dissect either. My biggest scandal is so gross. I need to like drink my White Claw for this. So.
Oh man, This is a good one.
I'll never forget. This is my junior year. I was friends with this girl. I won't say her name. She told me in class, she was like, "Did you hear what happened at homecoming?" And to set the tone, Corona del Sol was renowned and known for like the best school dances. Like, talk about a fucking lit party. Corona del Sol dances were some of the most lit events I'd ever attended. They were better than like the clubs in New York City. Like, they were amazing. Anyways, everyone, like, it was a production. If you didn't have a party bus going to the dance, like, you were a fucking loser, which is so dumb. But like, that was the case. And by the way, I never got to go on like a party bus other than one time. But anyways, you know, there were party buses, and there was this one that was like full of these girls that were like, quote unquote, I guess you could say popular. I thought they were all I called them the Krusty Krabs, and so did many other people. That was their name, because they were all like...
Do they have crabs?
They just looked like girls that would have STDs. They were disgusting, crusty, like, not interested. Not in a cool way, though. Like, gross.
Is there a cool way to look like you have STDs?
No, they were just like bitches. Like, they weren't nice. They were just like not STDs, nice people. Yeah, when I say they were bitches, it's like not in a cool way. They were like, they sucked. They were just sucky, shitty people.
Yep.
So they were all on this party bus, and apparently there was like a paper going around my class that like literally had all the girls' names on one line, all the guys on the other, and then people were drawing lines to who had sex with who. Now, that's like normal. There were always rumors that people were banging on party buses, but on this particular bus, the Krusty Krabs were each banging a dude, probably some fucking idiot. And while they were all banging, the party bus toilet overflowed. It got clogged and it overflowed. And my friend told me that there was about 3 to 4 inches of toilet water in the party bus with actual shits, little turds, little human shits floating around the party bus, and people were still having sex on the party bus while there was poop floating around the bus.
If anything,
my friend witnessed it. Like I said, I will not reveal her name, but my friend, I attest with my right hand up like I'm in court, swear Bible, like there was poop floating around on this party bus.
Oh, I believe it.
While many people were banging.
If anything speaks to the horniness of teenagers, it's that they can bang next to human shit.
Yeah, that's how horny they were.
They can still get
they
it
be
on.
fucking while poop is floating by. I mean, that is fucking foul. I remember, and I know, And honestly, like, if this podcast ever blows up and we're famous, I will list every single person that was on that bus because you all know who you are if you're listening.
That's the real motivation to listen to this podcast, so that they can all be called out publicly.
To reveal everyone on the Corona del Sol poop bus.
Hell fucking yeah. Love that.
All right, next question.
Were your teenage years as wild as the guys on Euphoria? What was your craziest experience?
And that was directed to Alex, actually.
Yeah, personally, I literally didn't have a craziest experience. My high school experience was so fucking tame. I think what you need to understand about my high school experience is that I was incredibly motivated by pragmatism. Like, I was very amoral. I got good grades because I wanted to get the fuck out of Camas, and I behaved because I wanted to go to a good college. Like, it was that simple. Like,
that's crazy. I didn't even think about college.
I did a bunch of like random weird shady shit. Like, I kicked a kid's like car door in. Like, I got detention a bunch, but I only did things that I knew wouldn't affect my college prospects because my only goal was getting out of Camas and going to college.
Got it.
So like anything that fit that goal, I did. Like,
you were like surviving. It was like survival of the fittest.
Well, it was like I knew what I wanted, which was to get out. So I got straight A's. I did everything I could to get like that, and anything outside of that, I didn't give a fuck about. So if it was like cheating on like a math test, like whatever, like I didn't care. Like that wasn't gonna show up on a college transcript. I just knew I had to get an A in this class, so I fucking did what I had to do to get an A. I got detention all the time. I kicked car doors in. I don't know.
Wait,
I did all
why did you
kinds
kick a car door in?
Shit. Some kid threw a like water bottle at my bottle because another kid
some kid threw a water bottle at your bottle.
I was driving. That's
what you just said.
I know. I'm sorry. I was driving my homie to his house, and because my friend was in my car, someone in a different car threw a bottle at my car, just because this kid I knew was in my car. So the next day I found their car in the parking lot and kicked their door. Eye for an eye. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's just
but like I gauged I had no like actual morals. I just gauged everything off like what I wanted and whether it would like benefit or detriment like my goals, which was to get the fuck out of Camas and go to a good school. So I didn't drink or do drugs, not because I thought those were bad things, but because I knew my parents would get mad at me and it would be like a problem. Like, so my goal was just to get the fuck out of Camas, and I just behaved accordingly. Like, I never was like, oh, it's bad to do drugs. I never once in my life have thought it's bad to do drugs, it's bad to drink. I just didn't do any drugs or didn't drink in high school because I just wanted to fucking get straight A's and get out of Camas, like,
got it,
and not get in trouble with my parents.
Well, thanks for submitting that question
so
for
there
Alex.
You go. I had no crazy experiences.
Your craziest experience was kicking someone's car door.
I did brand a kid. I branded a kid one time.
Wait, I'm sorry. What? So you go in saying, "Oh, my craziest
was
experience was kicking a car door," and now you're like, "Oh, sorry, wait, I branded." Well,
I was
child?
sober. He probably wasn't, but it was at like a grad party, and we were like. He definitely wasn't sober, and he thought it would be funny to have someone brand him, and no one was gonna do it. And I was like, fuck it. I like hated the guy, so I was like, I'll fucking brand you. So we took one of those like marshmallow like roasting like rods, and got it like red hot over the fire, and then I think branded his ass with it.
His ass?
Yeah. So there's definitely a kid walking around, Brody Hunter. Shout out.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he definitely has
a
bad scar. Like, I didn't do a very good job at it. So
what is his name? Brody Hunter?
He probably has like a gross bad scar on his butt, or from me branding him at like a grad party in like 2008.
Yeah, Brad Hunter.
There you go.
Fucking branded ass.
That's it.
All right, craziest gossip that ever circulated in your high school.
All right, so craziest gossip for me was this is pretty good. So there was a girl in my school. We'll call her Mary Jiter, and she was a year older than me. And there was a rumor that circulated that she and her boyfriend went to the garage of his parents' house and had sex on an ATV, and then she had him shit on her chest while she laid on the ATV. And for some reason this gained like massive traction. Like, everyone knew this story, and also for some reason this story gained so much traction that it's like notorious, so that I have a younger sister who's 5 years younger than me, so she's 6 years younger than the girl that allegedly did this. She knew about it when she got into high school.
Shut up.
Years after this girl had graduated.
Jesus.
And then I have a friend that was a middle school teacher, and years after my sister had heard about it, like years and years after my sister had heard about it, she had middle school kids who knew about it and knew the girl's name, and they called it
that's iconic.
Mary Jitering. Like, this was like
I thought
Well, I wasn't saying the name, like, for a reason.
Whoops. Oh, well. Sorry.
But
sorry.
I wasn't saying the name because I'm 99% sure that this rumor is untrue. If it was true, I would have no problem calling
fuck
this
it.
out.
Whatever.
I'm fairly certain this is not
person's
true.
listening to That's So Euphoric.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain this is not true. But
I just blew your cover.
There were middle school children years and years after this girl graduated who knew about the incident.
Okay, well, I apologize for drunkenly dropping the name, but also, like Alex said, it's gossip, so it might not even be real.
It's like 99%. I'm 99% sure it's not real.
Wow, that's horrible. That poor girl and guy.
Nobody knows the guy's name. Nobody
who do you feel worse for? Wow, are you kidding me?
Nobody knows the guy's name. It was known as like. It was known by the girl's name. No one knows the guy's name. I didn't know that.
Fuck that.
I knew who.
I'm sorry, but the guy should be the one that's slaughtered on the table.
I kind of knew the guy and knew who he was, and I don't even remember his name.
But the guy should be the one with all the blame. I mean, think about it. Like, the girl takes a shit, whatever. Like, maybe she had to go.
No, she didn't take a shit. The rumor was that she
shit on his chest.
The rumor was that she asked him to take a shit on her chest, and he did it.
And why do you think that started? Do you know who started it?
I have no idea. I don't know who started it. I have no idea what the history of it is. I just know that all of a sudden everyone knew about it, and apparently like 10 years later everyone still knew about it, including like middle school children.
That is so sad. All right,
horrible.
That's horrible. How many times did you bunk off? Now I'm dying. I literally thought this meant jack off, but then Alex and I had to look it up, and apparently in the UK it means like ditching
it's like skip
school,
class.
Playing hooky.
Yeah.
That's what our parents would say.
I don't know. I skip class like fairly regularly, like what I said earlier.
Really? I don't believe that.
Not fairly regularly.
Yeah,
a couple times a year.
Let's not act like you're Mr. Cool Guy. You just said you had prospects for college. You're like plotting out your life.
Well, again, like I said, like I just judge things on whether or not they would affect like my grades, and like skipping class didn't really affect my grades that much. But I skipped class a couple times a year, and sometimes I skipped school, and most of the time my parents were cool with it and would let me
Your parents were cool with you skipping class?
Usually like once or twice per year, my parents would like let me like skip a day of school and like hang out, because my parents were very cool in some ways.
That's not very cool. Like, any parent would let you skip class twice a year.
Well,
sorry.
Fine, whatever. Sometimes I skipped.
Alice is trying to be cool because he like lacked coolness.
Sometimes I skipped individual classes, and sometimes my parents let me skip a whole day.
Well, I never. I did school. I would not say often, because I didn't, but I definitely did. I had a boyfriend, Austin, who ditched all the time. Sorry, Austin, if you're listening to this, you're probably not. We were allowed to go off campus for lunch, so, and I believe it's just senior year, but it might have been junior and senior year. I have a bad memory, but we would go off campus for lunch and then just not come back for class after lunch. So I don't know if that's like ditching. It was more like taking an extra lunch break, which I felt I deserved. I worked hard in high school.
Oh yeah,
okay?
you totally
I worked
deserve
hard.
that, baby.
Okay, did either of you ever go to school? Oh my god, I'm drunk. Did either of you go in drunk or high to school?
I did. I purchased a bottle of watermelon vodka from my boy. It was $20, and he delivered it to me hidden in a sock in the school cafeteria, and we did the exchange.
Shut the fuck up. How much was it?
It was $20, like I said.
Oh, sorry.
I bought some cigars from him as well. So I had that hidden in my closet at home, and one or two times I would fill like a Gatorade bottle with watermelon vodka and drink that like at school. And I didn't really like tell people or do anything. It was my senior year, and I was fucking bored with school. I knew I was like into college, so I just said fuck it, and I would just drink watermelon vodka from a Gatorade bottle all day at school and get like trashed.
Holy shit.
But I would just sit in class, so it wasn't like that fun or exciting. But I mean, it was entertaining when you're like bored.
I mean,
class,
I do that sometimes at work. Like, we all do it at work,
right.
Even to this day. Like, we all like start drinking early and like,
yeah, exactly.
And honestly, like, everyone knows. It's not a secret, but like, it is kind of funny. You're like looking at your screen, you're like,
yeah,
like
exactly.
drunk.
Yep. Never high. I started doing Vicodin in high school after I had my wisdom teeth removed, but I didn't do it at school.
I didn't drink or smoke during school or get high or do drugs, so I didn't, but I helped many friends while they were drunk or high at school like get out of situations. My best friend got really, really drunk off vodka at school in my Spanish class, and he desperately needed me to cover for him, and I remember being so confused. I remember like this is like the inner Mormon in Paige coming out. Like, I was like, why the fuck would you get like drunk at school? This is so boring. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, school already is boring. It's like funny. I wasn't like,
true, it is,
but it
boring.
wasn't logical. It's like anyone with a brain would go, well, yeah, that's why you get drunk, to make it more fun.
Exactly.
I saw it as like, I was taught that like drinking was bad, which led to like throwing up, feeling sick. Like, I always drinking was like you become an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So it was like very irrational. So I always thought like, why would you want to make a bad situation worse? I didn't see it as like a highlight. But I do remember that when my best friend was really drunk off vodka in Spanish, he drew a photo of like Mickey Mouse on his test and was like, can you like cover this for me or like do something? Like, I didn't mean to do this. And I was like, what the fuck? Like,
I
no.
didn't mean to draw a giant Mickey Mouse on my test.
No, it was Minnie Mouse. It was specifically
Minnie
Minnie Mouse, and he like drew her like carrying like a Spanish book or something. It was like so stupid.
I like that. That's cute.
Yeah, it was cute or just dumb. I don't know.
Kind of cute.
But yes. Next question. Did either of us have a crush on a teacher?
No.
On 3. No.
I had an AP Gov teacher that everyone joked about having crushes on. Shout out Miss Bridges, but I never actually had a crush on her.
What was your sexuality in high school?
Very straight.
Very straight. I'll drink to that. Cheers. Not like in a... I mean, yeah, I'll drink to that. I was straight. Did either of you experience depression or anxiety?
This is like
heavy. We went from like, did you like bunk off? Like, yeah, right. Did you like bang your teacher? And now it's like, wow, did you suffer like depression? So I think both of us would say we talked about this a little before. I'm not gonna lie. We talked a little bit about it, and I definitely had a lot of anxiety. I will never claim to have had depression. And I think a large part of that is, especially being a female, I feel like it's because social media didn't really exist. Like, I didn't have Instagram. I wasn't comparing myself to other girls. I wasn't like watching these like thoughty crop topped girls on TikTok and feeling like, oh, I wish that was me. Like, no, I did not wish that. If anything, I thought that was like despicable. So I was really blessed in that aspect. But I had a lot of anxiety, but I didn't know what anxiety was. A lot of that had to do with my religious background, my parents not really being knowledgeable on that subject. So I feel like I had a lot of panic attacks. I had a lot of just general anxiety. Like, I've always told Alex, anytime I had any sort of shift or change in my life, it was like World War III. Like, I felt like I was just like going through the most dramatic shit. Like, I found out I didn't have lunch with my best friend Carly my sophomore year of high school. We all, we had lunch together every day freshman year, and then sophomore year my schedule changed. And I swear to God, I cried more that day than I did, like, over heartbreak. Like, I was so anxious. But it was out of anxiety. Like, I had a routine, and, it just threw me off. But now that I'm an adult, I obviously fucking get it. And I still have mad anxiety. So don't get me wrong, that did not go away. I suffer from, like, a lot of trauma and anxiety. But I did not have depression. That's just not me.
Yep. I would never say that I had like clinical, like real depression, but I was probably like, I was significantly depressed by my circumstances. I
would disagree. I feel like you could have gone to therapy and someone would have been like, you have like seasonal depression and like.
Oh, I definitely had seasonal depression, but that's different. But like, I didn't have like chemical, like real like depression, but I was intensely unhappy with my circumstances for 4 years straight, which was very tough. And I communicated that to my parents. Like, literally every summer I was like begging them, like crying, like, I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to go.
You actually cried?
Yes, I begged every single summer. I had 3 summers, I guess, of asking them seriously and deeply not to send me back to high school, and they did. And that was shitty, and it was like a little damaging to my relationship with them because they never took that seriously. They made me go back and thought I was being dramatic, and I really deeply, intensely like hated my circumstances. I was unhappy every day, all day for 4 years straight for the most part.
I mean, to give them a little credit though, like there's so much lack of knowledge during our time. Like things progress, right? So like there's just so much more awareness, but yeah, mental health.
I just very much articulate. I was very
But do you
articulate.
remember mental health at all being a thing talked about?
No, not at all. But I was very articulate to them, and generally they were reasonable people, but they thought I was just being dramatic, which was hard because I wasn't. I really was hating my day-to-day experience intensely. I was very, very unhappy. So I would never say I had actual like clinical depression, but my circumstances were incredibly depressing, and I was wildly unhappy with my day-to-day life for 4 years straight.
I mean, which
takes like a toll. That makes you like, that changes your life, you know?
Yeah. To give our Euphorians a little bit of hope, though, I do feel like mental health is absolutely like embraced and a lot more discussed. When we were growing up, like I said, I literally didn't know the word anxiety. Mm-hmm. No one ever described anyone as like, oh, they just having like anxiety. Like that was not a thing.
I mean, if you think about,
you judged people so harshly. I will never forget this. And I actually have no problem. Like I won't out her, but there was a girl on my cheer team that I really loved and like respected. She had a panic attack on the way to a game that we cheered at. And I remember like very harshly in my head, not out loud because I was not a mean person, but in my head I judged her very harshly. She had a panic attack and I thought like, eye roll, are you kidding? Like, come on, like over what? Because like when you have a panic attack, as we all know, like it can be over quite literally nothing. It could be literally just be a chemical imbalance where you just feel anxious. And I just was such like a harsh judge on that shit. I thought like, oh my god, like pussy, like come on, suck it up, like it's not that big a deal, like get over it. And nowadays, like, that would just be, like, intolerable. Like, you couldn't say that. You couldn't judge someone for that. Like, that would be, like, you're such a bitch.
Well,
like,
you couldn't, and you also shouldn't. Like, it's, like, it's fucking shitty.
But like
it's
I said,
terrible. Like,
I want to make it clear, though, I was never mean.
Like, I'm dealing with. Like,
of course, I felt sorry for her, but in my head, I was kind of like, come on, like, toughen up.
Yeah.
Which is, like, fucked up. Like, no. So now, okay. Off of that depressing topic, what type of person would you describe yourself as in high school? I feel like we already did that.
Yeah, I mean, I was painfully shy. I was disdainful of other people. I wasn't people saw me as quiet, but I wasn't necessarily quiet. I just didn't like talking to them.
Oh, you're quiet though. You're quiet until you get to know you.
I'm quiet until I like people, and I generally just don't like people. You must have liked me
real fast, cause
yeah, I liked you. I'm not a quiet person. I'm quiet around people I don't like, but I'm not quiet by nature.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I kind of already described mine in the beginning. Hyper as shit, fun, life of the party. I was always like, I don't want to say center of attention in a bad way, but I definitely was. I fought with like many of my close friends for center of attention without realizing it. Now that I look back, I'm like, yeah, I was seeking attention and validation because my parents ignored me. They didn't care. I was supposed to be this Mormon perfect angel. I definitely was not. So
we were both also like very like academic. Like we were both like straight A students,
which makes no sense because no one was motivating me. My parents definitely did not like force me to be a good student. I just like,
my parents would have been very happy with me no matter what grades I got. But
for me, it was just OCD. It's like how I am with cleaning our apartment. Like I had to like have a routine. I had to do well. I didn't see any other outlet. It was like I had to do this.
Yeah. I just understood that if I wanted to change my life, I needed to get good grades.
Well, that's very mature of you. Mine was completely immature.
It wasn't really mature. It was just, I was so hateful of my current situation that I was like intensely motivated to do what I could to get out of it.
Okay, were you personally ever involved in a scandal at school?
I don't think so.
I mean, was.
One time my parents had to come to school because a teacher accused me of cheating on a math test, which I was.
Both your parents came to school?
Oh, yeah. And I swore up and down to everyone involved that I didn't do it.
Wait, do your parents to this... Wait. Do your parents to this day think you didn't do it?
I don't know what they think, but they had my back, which I will always love them for. Even though they made me go to this shitty high school and didn't take my my shit seriously when I said I didn't want to go. They did have my back.
Well, they had your back because you lied.
Well, I don't know. I won't gauge whether or not they thought I was telling the truth, but they had my back.
Wow.
They came into school and defended me to death, and I love them for that.
That's cute.
Because I was definitely cheating. I always had to cheat on math tests because I was so bad at math, but I had to get straight A's. It was only ever in math.
Scandals. My biggest scandal was absolutely... I mean, I didn't have a scandal. That's not... I feel like a scandal means like something really like crazy happened. My best friend, Carly, her boyfriend, which I have no problem outing, he was a fucking dick. Marcus Stam, shout out, punched me at a school dance.
That's fucking insane. I don't know a single girl that's ever been punched by anyone.
Yep, I was.
Other than you, obviously.
It was sophomore and junior year. We were at, I think it was Sadie's. Sadie's was a dance. Sadie Hawkins.
Yep,
it was lit. I had a lot of fun. We were dressed as nerds. I literally wore a retainer. My retainer.
That's hot.
And he was jokingly coming up to me. At the time, I had a boyfriend, Matt. He came up from behind me while Matt was getting a glass of water. He came up behind me and was like grinding on me to be funny. He knew I did not approve of him. I hated him. Like, I loathed him. I told Carly many times to break up with him. She didn't, whatever. I was still her best friend, supported her endlessly. But he came up to me, was like grinding on me and being all disgusting. So I said like, yo, like, fuck off. I literally said like, fuck off. Get off me. Mm-hmm. He thought it was funny. He took that as like, ha ha ha, like, this is like hilarious. Let me just keep grinding on her and think it's funny. So it's hard. It's like my life flashed before my eyes. Am I right? But I think what I did was I turned around and I literally was like, dude, like, fuck off, you're a loser. And I like kind of like gave him a little shove. Mm-hmm. And he just went full. I mean, I'll never forget it. He took his arm back and just fully swinged and missed me, but hit my shoulder hard enough that I fell to the ground and my retainer fell out of my mouth. So the force of his hit to my shoulder was so hard that I literally, my knees buckled and I fell.
It's wild.
Now, what's shitty is my boyfriend, like I said, was getting a glass of water. So it's not his fault. He wasn't there to rescue me though. But my best friend Jake at the time was with his girlfriend and was like, oh, no. Mm-hmm. So he intervened and like, he didn't do anything, but he essentially was like, fuck off, like, leave her alone. What the fuck is wrong with you? He was also on student council, so like he had a lot of power because like they ran the dances or whatever, like planned them. So he was like, you better like fucking, you know, get the fuck out or I'm gonna tell. Mm-hmm. We did tell. It's kind of crazy. It was such a scene that like the cops got involved. A lady cop drove me and Carly home. We literally drove in a cop car home.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
I would qualify that as a scandal.
Yep, they reported it. He was suspended from school for, I think it was only 3 days, but he came back and his best friend was in my math class and I'll never forget it. He came up to me in math and was like, "I'm sorry, my friend did that," and I was like, bro, it's fine."
I don't give a shit that you're sorry. You're not.
You know what's shitty? Like, you know what's really shitty though?
Whatever.
I was kind of like, this is why I think I would have been friends with Maddie Perez. I was not at the time. You know, I wasn't. My background obviously screams like the women submissive all the time. I was very like, I hated him and I did not approve of that, but I was very like, I was a forgiving person growing up. So I was really mad that my parents were blowing it out. Like they wanted to file a report with the cops. I was like,
as they should have.
I know. Today I'd be like full throttle, like yes. No, but then I was absolutely like, nope, please don't do this. Like I was just humiliated. I was like, no, I really just don't need this in my life. But they did it. So he was suspended.
All right. Well, there you go. That's a scandal and a half.
I guess. I know. I feel like.
Paige, did you have a break the internet moment?
That was it.
All right. Cool.
That was it when Marcus Stam punched me at the dance.
Let's see. What else do we have? Paige, did you have a crush in high school? And who would you have had a crush on in Euphoria? It's a good question.
My crush in high school, I had a lot, but
you dated all your crushes, didn't you? Like
what?
Didn't you date all your crushes? I did. Like you dated people.
I was a pro dater. Just kidding, not a dater. I was a pro relationshipper, if that's a thing. I always was in a relationship, always, all throughout high school. I was never single. I was, but it'd be like 2 months. And in those 2 months, I was hooking up. My crush, though, was Andrew Cowley. He did not go to my school, but shout out Andrew Cowley. I don't know why. I just was obsessed with him. He was like a skater guy. He had like long curly hair. He was Mormon, actually. Jack Mormon, though. He drank and like smoked and like did shit. But I was like super into him.
Cool.
It was embarrassing. I TP'd his yard and stupid shit.
I had crushes all the time, but none of them ever led to anything. I didn't even get my first kiss until I was in college, so I had 0 luck in that department. So I had many crushes.
You're not going to name your crush, though?
They were meaningless. Oh, I had a bunch. I mean,
name one.
Some of them were
Name
good.
one. Be brave and name one.
The one I'm most proud of is I had a crush on a girl named Meliz, who was half Italian, half Turkish.
Whoa, this is the first I'm hearing of this.
Very attractive, and it seems like she's very cool to this day. Although I haven't spoken to her in a very long time.
But clearly you're looking at her.
She would be a catch. I haven't looked at her in a long
Okay,
time. Don't worry.
Oh, awkward. Awkward moment on the podcast. Alex is still looking up high school crushes.
Oh, please. I had a crush on a girl who like left her boyfriend, and it seemed like we were gonna hook up, and then she met some older guy that she apparently had a crush on for like years. We like went to laser tag one day, and then she randomly ran into him at laser tag, and then everything that had happened between her and I for like 6 months was like out the door, and she like hooked up with him, and then she married him, and then they got divorced like 3 years later or something.
Oh, karma.
And, yeah,
I don't know if that's karma.
I don't regret that one at all. I'm glad I avoided
dodged
that
a real bullet there.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one experience.
Wait. Who would you have a crush on in Euphoria?
Oh,
that's a good question.
So embarrassingly so, in high school, I was very. I don't want to use the word shallow because I wasn't, but like you're horny. I wasn't like looking for my long-term soulmate. I was looking to fucking.
Just don't try to classify it. Who would it be?
No, I am gonna classify it. It's important.
Uh-huh.
It would be Nate Jacobs. He was hot as fuck.
Oh, oof. That's
but no, but I'm defending myself in that knowing his personality.
He's not that hot.
Knowing
it's not hot enough to make.
You're not even letting me talk. Knowing his personality, it would be a no. His attractiveness, it would be a 2 thumbs up. Okay, well, you go.
I would have had a crush on Jules, big time.
Oh, Jules.
Oh yeah, Jules for sure. I was all about like the weird, like quirky, like cool style,
that's
like
cool.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Jules, you can't beat
outsider type character.
But Jules is very good luck.
Jules all day, like for sure.
Okay, the last Euphorian question that we have. If you had to pick one experience in high school that was the most memorable, what was it?
I literally don't know if I have one.
My best experience was we had like every year it was called like Spirit Week, which is so fucking stupid. But like I fucking loved it, so I won't act like I didn't love it. And every day there was a theme. But I say I loved it because, like I said, my school was really cool and everyone was really like, they went all in. It's like Halloween for a week. Every day was a theme and you went all out. But people weren't basic. They like really went all out. So one day was Hawaiian Day, which is like so stupid. Doesn't make any sense, right? But someone dared me and my best friend at the time to show up in wetsuits on Hawaiian Day. I literally don't remember who, but it was literally a dare. Someone was like, I dare you. Like, I think it'd be funny. I could see Paige like doing this and really doing it. And I was like, any dare I fully took on in high school. Like, I never didn't do a dare. Like, now I'd be like, fuck you, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I dare you
in
to
high
do
school,
shit all the time. And
you could tell me to like smoke crack in class and I would have done it. Like, I did anything to please the crowd. I was a very reactionary. I liked reactions.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone was daring me to wear a wetsuit to school. Seems like not a big deal, right? But for me, like, that was a big deal because that's just weird. I had to contact this kid, Alex Fielding, who grew up in Hawaii. I borrowed his wetsuit. And on top of that, they dared me to come to school soaking wet. So my first class was history, AP history, with Mr. Nienaber and John Drury. Mr. Drury. And I showed up. I literally wore this guy's wetsuit, took a shower in it, wore puka shells, like my hair sopping wet. I was soaking. I'm not lying. Like soaking wet. You could squeeze my wrist and water would come out. That's how wet I was. That sounds really dirty, but I was really fucking
How
wet.
wet were you, bitch?
I was a wop. I was a wet ass pussy.
Hell yeah.
But like actually wet. Like my pussy was wet, but it was from the wetsuit. So I was so wet. I came into class and everyone was like, I felt so fulfilled. Everyone was like dying because I just showed up dripping wet in a wetsuit. Obviously I dried off like instantly because it's Arizona, but like I showed up soaking wet and everyone was just like absolutely dying. And I remember my teacher being like, you need to like go dry off in the bathroom and come back. And I was like, okay, Mr. Neighbor. I roll like, all right. So I went in the bathroom and like took a paper towel and was like,
whatever, neighbor.
But yeah, it was cool. And I was that's like my picture was in the yearbook for it, so it was worth it. But yeah, I wore a wetsuit to school.
All right, sick nasty.
I know it sounds silly, but like it was my most memorable.
Hey, it's better than mine. I don't have one
because it was the most.
High school was utterly
it was memorable because I was the most like that to me was like I remember being like a little doubtful. Like I should.
I did go to school dressed as Elvis one time, but that wasn't that memorable. I just did it, and then.
But hey, high five! No, but like high five right now.
That was fine.
No, but that takes courage. Like it took fucking courage to wear a wetsuit to a school full of like basic ass people. Like sure, my school was cool, but like there were popular kids. They existed.
Right.
It's not popular to show up soaking wet to school wearing puka shells in a wetsuit or dress up like fucking Elvis, but like who cares?
You're so right.
I thought it was so euphoric.
It's honestly. So euphoric.
That wetsuit. My best friend though, who was a male, his experience was a little different because he wore a short. Mine was long, long sleeved. His was short, and everyone was just staring at his balls all day. It was really awkward.
Hey, good for him.
Good for him, but he had a girlfriend. His girlfriend was really mad about it.
Get people scoping on the package.
Yeah,
like,
there was no package though. You're in high school. Like, what's a package? Like, flaccid dick in a wetsuit is not that hot.
I guess no package then. R.I.P. R.I.P. to that guy.
No, I'm just saying, like, when you wear a short sleeve like wetsuit, it's not like in high school you have some big bulging package. Like, he was literally like a sophomore.
He should have stuffed. Should have thrown a sock in there or something.
It was really funny. I mean, it was funny. We didn't care. But yeah.
All right. So what's next?
Okay, now we are going to do a lightning round of Never Have I Ever.
Oh, shit.
My God, wait.
I'm so utterly bad at this game.
We have to share the beer then for drinking. Is that a full beer?
No, not even close.
Okay, well, Alex has to go get me a drink.
One moment.
We're going to play Never Have I Ever high school version. Now, normally it's like you hold all 10 fingers up, you put down a finger if, you've done the act that's announced. Now, we're not going to do that because we're not being filmed. We're just streaming. So we're going to drink every time we've done something, right? Is that what we decided on? Whenever, if you've done
it or when we haven't done it?
If you've done the act, you take a drink.
Okay.
All right. So let's cheers.
I've done nothing.
Let's cheers before we go because I love cheersing.
Drinking. All right.
I always love cheersing. So euphoric. Oh
cheers.
My God. Calm down.
That's so euphoric. All right, hit me.
Al and I are completely wasted. Okay.
I'm so ready to
All right, here we go.
This drink.
This is lightning round. Let's go.
Let's go.
Never have I ever gone skinny dipping.
Is this in high school or just in life?
In high school. It's only high school.
And we drink if we have done it or haven't done it. All right. No drinks.
And since we're streaming, you have to say if you have or haven't.
No, never. Not in high school.
Sipping. Never have I ever played strip poker in high school.
Not in high school.
Me neither. Never have I ever peed in a pool.
Not
Absolutely
in high school.
Drinking water. You've never peed in a pool in high school?
I've never peed in a pool at all.
That's fucking
I love pools and I find peeing in pools offensive, so I don't pee in pools.
Oh, I pee in pools plentiful.
Plentiful. Okay.
I stayed at the Four Seasons with Alex for his birthday. This is not high school, obviously. And I think I peed in the pool like 30 times.
Oh my lord.
Okay, next question. Never have I ever drunk dialed my ex in high school.
I didn't have an ex in high school.
I never got drunk in high school, so we're actually on the same page. But I did dial my ex. Should I drink?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Fuck
Why
it.
not?
I'm wasted. Okay. Never have I ever used a fake ID
I didn't have a fake ID.
Me neither. Never have I ever hooked up in a car.
I didn't hook up with anyone in high school.
I hooked up in a car many times in high school, so I will. Should I do like 2 drinks? Okay. 1,
Sure.
2.
This is largely like a round of paid drinking and me not drinking.
Also, my one hookup in a car that I have to tell was I won't say his name to embarrass him, but he jizzed all over the front of the window.
Ew.
He was 14. He jizzed all over.
How was anyone driving a car if he was 14 and you were also 14?
Oh, fuck. Sorry. I'm wasted. I was 14. He was of age. He was driving.
Oh, okay.
Gave him a blowjob, and for some reason he didn't come in my mouth, but he jizzed all over the fucking the what do you call it? The windshield wipers or the
windshield.
The windshield. And then he also came on his Lifetime Fitness uniform, which is a country club in Arizona.
Ew.
And he was really mad at me.
Arizona
which
has
is
no
like,
child labor laws.
why are you mad at me? Sorry, I'm so good at giving blowjobs. Okay. Never have I ever driven a stick shift.
I did do that. Yo, I get to drink.
Oh my god, Alex is chugging. He's drove that stick. I'm not. I've never done that.
I know how to work the stick, baby.
Never have I ever thrown up in public during high school.
No.
Me neither.
Wait,
Never?
yes. I did throw up in public in high school just from PE class.
You threw up in...
I threw up one time in PE class, stone cold sober, just because they made us run a lot. And afterwards, I didn't feel very good. And we were walking back inside of the gym, and I threw up.
You threw up in the gym on the floor?
No, I threw up outside the school on the grass on the way back towards the gym.
Oh my god, did anyone comfort you,
outside.
or were you just alone
There was a
vomiting?
girl that I was like close with who rubbed my back while I threw up.
Who? Do I know her?
No.
Oh, damn it.
No.
Oh my god. Well, thank you to the girl who rubbed my fiance's back while he was barfing in public, projectile vomiting all over the green fields of Camas.
Shout out.
Never have I ever taken a shit at school. I actually haven't.
I have. I didn't. Very rarely. It was like my most avoided action. Like I avoided that at all costs. But I used to have to do I had to stay after school to do soccer training my freshman year, and sometimes I had to shit because I couldn't wait that
in the
long.
locker room you took a shit though?
No, never in the locker room. God, that would be the worst. There was one super isolated handicap bathroom in the middle of nowhere that I would use.
I took a big gulp just while listening to that story, so sorry, I cheated.
That's the only thing I get to drink for.
Okay, never have I ever gotten in a physical fight at school.
No, not in high school.
I have not, but I have to say this. 2 guys fought over me junior year.
Yo.
Not over me. That makes me sound conceited. A guy that I knew had a crush on me asked me out to a dance. I said no because I had already planned to go with a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. That friend that I won't name was very upset that this guy overstepped and asked me knowing he had already asked me. They both got in a fist fight so badly. It started with that, but it elevated to other things.
Paige, you got the boys throwing hands over you.
It wasn't no, but I want to make it very clear. It wasn't just me. That was the spark of it. They already had their differences. That was just
so there was prior beef.
Instigated. Yes. Yes. Okay. So they were mad. Okay. I'll drink to that, I guess. But I've never.
Yeah, drink to that.
Okay. Never have I ever been pulled over by the cops in high school.
No.
You never got pulled over?
No.
I did.
I've only been pulled over once in my entire life, and it was when you and my other friend were actively drinking in the car. I was not.
You were not.
I was not.
We were.
I was driving sober, but you and the other person in the car were actively drinking.
Shane. I don't think he.
That was the only time I've been pulled over in my life because I was going 80 and a 60, and I did get pulled over and I did get a ticket, but we hid the beer successfally and avoided any open
me and
container
Shane slid our beers under the seat. It was fine.
So it was cool.
I got pulled over. Alex knows this story, but I got pulled over with my friends Scott LaCava and Zach Reedy and. I think it was Brett Lane. I don't remember. But we got pulled over, and it was not at all for anything bad. The roof of the car, it was one of those cars where the sunroof could come out, and we all went out the sunroof, and we were dancing. Mm-hmm. He was driving on the freeway, and we were dancing to MIA Paper Planes, which is a fucking bop. That slaps. You have to unbuckle your seatbelt.
High school song.
You have to go through the sunroof during that song.
Yes, of course.
There's no choice.
That's
I'm sorry,
understandable.
officer, but like
the cops should understand.
They should get absolutely understand.
If they don't get it, they never had any fun.
They did not understand. They pulled us over, and I think they were expecting us to be drunk. They did like the classic, like get out of the car. They made it so serious. No one was intoxicated. We were coming from a softball game. We were coming from a softball game, one that we watched of our school. Don't ask me why. That's how bored we were. We came from a softball game.
Yeah, I used to go watch volleyball games.
Well,
because two girls I liked were on the volleyball team.
Well, at least you had an excuse.
Still lame as fuck.
I, being a straight girl, went with my guy friends to watch a softball game that was out of state. Is that what you call it when it's not at your school?
Well, out of state means it's
out
of the state.
I'm fucked up. What is it when it's not home?
An away game.
An away game. Yes. An away.
It's crazy. I know it's crazy, but out of state means it's in another state.
Alex, you know what? You're being a real smartass. I'm drunk. Right. But yes, it was an away softball game. And yeah, so anyways, I think they thought the cops were, they thought they were so clever. They were like, we're going to get you. So they got us out of the car. They gave us each like the DUI test. Like I literally had to walk a straight line. And I was like, I literally told them, I was like, I was raised Mormon. I'm not. And then classic me, they knew I wasn't drunk because I went all into it. I was like, well, I was raised Mormon, but I'm not Mormon. Like I don't really believe in it. And he was like, just fucking do the walking test. So I did the test. It was fine. But you know what's really shitty?
What?
Fuck the police. They threatened, they said, you need to call your parents and they have to come pick you up at this gas station. Even though we were all sober, they were just like, you know what, like, you have to get picked up.
Which is insane. You can't make people do that. What if they don't have parents?
He just said, I don't trust that you guys will go home safely. We were like 30 minutes from home, and he said, I don't think you guys will wear your seatbelts and go home. And I was
literally like illegal. Like, they can't make you do that.
Well, get this. My friend Scott LaCava, a complete saint, bless his soul, because he was driving and he was terrified. He was like so upset. He was like, he talked to the cops. He like reasoned with them. He was like, listen, like, we got this. He like gave them like a pep talk.
Yeah.
And then they were actually like, cool. And we're like, fine. Well, cool, quote unquote. They let us go.
Well, they're such idiots that you.
But they did. But I almost had to call my dad. Can you imagine? I had to call my dad. Oh, Dad, I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. I was dancing at MIA paper planes, sober out the fucking sunroof. Anyways, so I know I went off on a tangent. Okay. Never have I ever hooked up with a sibling's friend.
A sibling's friend?
Have you ever hooked up with Jesse's friend?
Never. No. I barely know a single friend of my sister's. And no,
my siblings are like 5 years younger than me.
My sister is 5 years younger than me. She definitely was never bringing anyone attractive around. And
if any of my
siblings, it was like at that weird time when I was like in college and they were like 13. So
we would have been arrested.
Like, yeah, it wasn't like a good like hot thing. No. It was like, nah.
Literally, if we would not say so on this show because we would have been arrested. On that note, never have I ever been arrested.
No, I've been handcuffed, but not by the police. No, wait,
you have to tell us. I know it wasn't high school, but you do have to tell your story of being handcuffed. I've never been arrested, period.
Freshman year of college, I went to party at USC from Pepperdine. Had a nice time, ran around to a bunch of fucking frat houses and shit, whatever. And then some guy that was in our group who was a total, like, alcoholic. I mean, this was like a month into like freshman year at Pepperdine, so I barely knew any of these people. But this guy that was in this group of people that I had driven to USC with ended up being a total alcoholic, like an actual like clinical alcoholic.
Okay, we get it. He was an alcoholic.
Yeah, so we all had a very nice night, and then near the end of the night, like we tried to get into a frat house, and they turned us away, and he decided to throw a bottle at their house, and they.
Do you know what the bottle was? Was it like a bottle?
It was just a beer bottle or something. He just chucked it at their house and it broke, and they all decided to run out and chase all of us, even though he was the only one that had thrown the bottle. So I ran down the street and I got like
accosted.
I got shoved onto the ground by two young Asian men, and I was about to have my ass beat. Well, I was gonna try to fight. I wasn't like a pussy. Like I was going to try to fight, but I had been shoved onto the ground. And before anything could continue further, the campus security showed up. They ran away, and since I was on the ground, I got cuffed. And they
you were cuffed by campus security, not the
I did not get cuffed by the police, but I got cuffed by campus security.
What were the cuffs like? Were they like plastic?
They were real cuffs. They were real metal cuffs.
Wow.
They brought me around the corner. They sat me down in front of a fucking Subway. I had to sit on the curb. I said, yo.
Now be honest, were you shaking in your boots?
No, because I didn't know. I wasn't, because I knew I didn't do anything wrong. I was like, I just told him the story. I was like, look, I'm here. I didn't do anything wrong. Some guy in my group threw a bottle at the house. These guys came out and started chasing us. Like, I had no choice but to run. I'm a Pepperdine student. Like, here's my wallet. Look at my ID. I'm from Washington State. Look at my Pepperdine student ID.
I'm a local paper maker.
I was very drunk, but I was very clear-minded. I was like, look, I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. I didn't fuck with these guys' house. They came out and chased us because some guy was did some stupid shit. And then, thankfully, my homie's brother was walking down the street and saw it and came over and vouched for me and corroborated my story, and they were like, okay, fine.
So do you owe your liberation to this man?
Yeah, partially. Yeah.
Partially or fully? I feel like fully.
His name is Lebet. He is Jeremy Sitbon's younger brother.
Wow.
Yoel Sitbon.
Cheers to Lebet for getting Alex
Yoel
out of cuffs.
Sitbon, who goes by the nickname Lebet. Was a very he was a really fun little French guy, and
wow, cheers to Lebet.
He came over and bailed me out.
Thank you for bailing out my fiance out of a really awkward situation at USC. Can never have I ever lied to my parents about where I'm going. Oh my god, I could chug this White Claw right now.
In high school, I really don't think I ever did. I didn't go anywhere in high school.
I ought to chug this entire White Claw. I lied to my parents anytime I left the house, Euphorians. I don't advise it for you all, but I lied literally any time I left the house.
I went nowhere.
Especially if a boy was involved, which was always. I was always leaving to go see boys. I was never hanging out with the girls. I was always going to hook up.
Of course.
Paige was a horny ass teenager. Okay. Yep. Never have I ever failed your driver's test. I did, so I'm gonna drink.
I did not fail my driver's test.
But let me clear my name.
Got that young license.
Let me clear my name. I failed my permit test because I passed my permit test, but then in Arizona, it's psycho. They don't make you take a driver's test. They make you do parallel parking or a whatever turn. What is it called?
A 3-point turn.
Sure, a 3-point turn. When have I ever done that in my entire fucking life? I don't even know what that is to this day.
In Washington, you have to back around a corner instead of 3-point turning, which is insane because a 3-point turn is something you really do in real life.
No, you don't. What's a 3-point turn? I've never done that in my entire. Have I ever done that?
It's when you're facing one way on a slim street and you have to turn around and go the other way. That's a valuable skill in real life. You never in your life have to back around a corner. I've never backed around a corner in my fucking life. I'm a little drunk,
so you saying a 0.3 turn, I'm a little lost.
That just means you're going this way on a street and then you have to turn around and go the other way.
So what? That's so easy. It
is. It's fucking easy. That's the whole point. It's fucking easy.
Yeah.
Backing around a corner is not easy, but you also never have to do it.
Well, whatever. I failed. I do want to mention it was in Arizona. It was 104 degrees the day I had this test. I had this lady who looked like she was a fucking meth addict, and she was screaming at me. I sat in the car. My granny took me, my sweet granny. She took me for the test. I was so excited, right? You think you're going to have your cute little license as you leave that you look all cute in. I was so stoked. I was like, I'm going to leave tonight, driving my boyfriend through the town. Absolutely not. I got in with this meth addict. She first of all told me to turn off the AC because she said it's so loud that you don't know what you're doing when the AC's on. Excuse me? Yes. Absolutely not.
Because in Arizona, you wouldn't ever be driving without the AC on.
So I was sweating. I was nervous. And she was like, okay, we're going to do parallel parking. Okay, I did the job pretty well, but I didn't fully... I knocked over one cone. Big fucking whoop-de-doo. She screamed at me and was like, you're done! Blah! She literally went psycho on my ass and just failed me immediately. So I don't think, would you count that as failing a driving test?
Yes.
I wouldn't.
I mean, you did fail.
But that's parking, so I failed.
It's not it was a bad test, but
you whatever. So I failed, but I eventually got it. Okay, guys? So then next. Never have I ever smoked a cigarette in high school. I never did.
No, I don't think I smoked a cigarette in high school. No.
Me neither. Wow,
I didn't smoke a single cig in high school.
I thought for sure you would have.
I didn't start smoking weed or cigarettes I didn't even start smoking cigarettes until I was in college. I didn't start smoking weed.
Did you start smoking cigarettes when you lived in Italy?
I smoked a couple cigarettes freshman year before I lived in Italy, but mostly I smoked cloves and weed freshman year. A total fucking classic art kid.
Never have I ever done a keg stand. And this can actually be in college or in high school.
Not in high school.
No, not in high school. Me neither. Never have I ever asked someone to a dance in an elaborate way.
No. I was super anti my high school experience was like peak, like you have to come up with some super clever dramatic way to like ask someone to a dance, and I was so anti that. So the only time I did ask someone to a dance, I just walked up to them and just said, hey, do you want to go to the dance with me?
Did they say yes?
Yeah.
Who was it? Can you name him?
Kirsten. Mormon.
A Mormon.
A Jack Mormon.
A Jack Mormon. Which by definition is a Mormon.
A Jack Mormon, a volleyball player, a very nice girl. I think very nicely.
The world of her.
A good girl.
Great.
We had a nice time. I had the best time at any dance.
With a Mormon. Wow. And now you're dating an ex-Mormon.
I know. Crazy, right?
Wow.
I guess I have a type.
Absolute full circle.
Jack Mormons.
I definitely asked many boys to dances, so I'm going to try this. But I'm trying to think of like what I did, and I that's how petty it was. I don't even remember, so it must have been really shitty. All right, next question. Never have I ever been called to the principal's office.
Many times.
Wait, really?
Yeah, but just for the silliest, for wearing a hat. I got called to the principal's office.
So what'd you do? You sat in the principal's chair and he was like, you wore a hat.
Yes,
what'd you say?
They literally would sit me down and they'd say, you wore a hat.
What'd you say?
I would say, yeah, I did.
Then what?
And then they would say, you can't wear a hat.
And then what'd you say?
And then I'd say, okay. And then I would leave and then I would wear a hat.
That's it?
Yeah, it was the stupidest
Was your principal
shit.
a dude or a girl?
It was it's some drama. It was a guy, and then he like kind of got ousted because he was having like an affair with like someone that was like also in the school administration or something.
Name him. I'm just kidding.
I mean, like everybody knew who he was, but
mine was.
He wasn't the one putting me on trial.
I got called.
We had some crazy psycho bitch.
I got called only once, and it was with my best friend Carly, and we were called because some fucking dumb hoe at our school. I have no problem saying her name. Jade Stolworthy. She was so boring.
Boo.
No, I mean whatever. She's like a basic bitch now, but she like called us. Her mom and her like made us out to be these bullies. Said that we fucking bullied her daughter. The mom called me a dirty pig in the parking lot of the Mormon church. That's for another time, another story. But I got called to the principal's office because they were claiming I bullied their daughter. I never did. It was like this whole fucking thing. And the only thing I have to tell from that story that's really funny is the assistant principal. Oh my God, I'm so drunk. The assistant principal, his name was Mr. Duplessis. And the principal was so dumb that when he was talking to us, he said, Mr. Duplessis has told us that this happened. Me and Carly, when we were in the chair listening, getting accosted for something we didn't do, they were like, Mr. Duplessis said that you did this, and we were like, his name's Mr. Duplessis. Like, it was just funny. Like, we kept laughing, and then they thought we thought it was funny.
So no one could pronounce his lispy ass name.
Well, no, it was more that like they thought because we were laughing that we weren't taking it seriously, but really we were like, you're completely mispronouncing your vice principal's name.
Fucking lispy ass name, like Duplessis.
He was like, Mr. Duplessis is very upset with you, and we were like, you mean Mr. Duplessis? Like, what the fuck? So yeah, I got in trouble for that.
anyone with a lisp.
Whatever. I mean, the girl that got us in trouble, her mom literally called me a fucking dirty pig in a parking lot. Yeah. Honestly, to this day, I will say this on this podcast, I feel very sorry for that girl, because I have a psycho mom as well. So I will say shout out. Like, I hope that she's living her best life and is like drinking and like having a good time, because her mom was a fucking bitch. Like a real bitch.
I don't feel sorry for her. Fuck them all.
Oh, that's you.
Anyways.
I do.
But especially
you're not a victim of a psycho mom, so of course you don't get it. But I do. But meaning I think the mom, like, it's like a Cal and Nate situation. The mom like took the situation and ran with it and was like, you're like ruining my daughter's life, and I think she did not want that. It was very sad. Like, she clearly like did not. It was bad.
Okay.
But I was called a dirty pig, which is kind of funny.
That's an accomplishment. Getting someone to call you a dirty pig is not something.
Not someone, an adult. an adult when I was it was
respect.
my senior year in high school.
Honestly, that's respect. Like
in the Mormon parking lot right by our school. If you can
convince someone to call an adult to call you a dirty pig as a child,
she spit in my face.
Respect.
She spit in my face though.
I would feel pretty accomplished if I did that.
But she spit in my face and called me a dirty pig.
Yeah, that's an accomplishment.
And she called out my Mormon friends. She named them all.
You debased her. You made her look like an animal.
Well, not only that.
To the community. Like, that's great.
The best part of that was my dad was so upset because, you know, he felt horrible that I was called a dirty... Well,
was he so upset?
What dad would not be upset if their daughter was accosted in a parking lot, spat at, and called a dirty pig when she did nothing? So my dad was rightfully upset, but he was always such a peacemaker. But one time at a football game, him and his best friend were there, and we were cheering, and the mom walked by, and they both put their noses up and were like...
Yeah.
And I loved that because my dad never, like, did anything bad, and that was, like, really cool.
That's fantastic.
Well, we're officially fucked up. All I know...
Is that all the things?
It is all the things, but all I know right now is I'm so fucked up that I'm in like a high school spirit and all I want to do is order Taco Bell on DoorDash. So I feel like we definitely have to end this episode because I absolutely need Taco Bell right now.
Taco Bell.
CDS. Corona del Sol.
Corona.
Canvas paper makers. Taco Bell.
Corona.
All right, Euphorians, we are out. We're just going to cheers with our fucking jank-ass White Claws as we go order Taco Bell. So, hey, was this episode so euphoric?
That's so euphoric.
High school for you.
High school was not so euphoric.
For Paige, so euphoric.
Yeah,
I'll cheers to that, bitch.
Yeah. Cheers. That's so euphoric.
Like today's episode? Great. We love that for you. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave us a podcast review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever the fuck you listen to us weekly. And be sure to follow us on Instagram at @so_euphoric for all the Euphoria updates you could ever possibly want in your life. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out, bitches.